Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to make a video kind of talking about the Tesla truck and also talking about Doug DeMuro and also talking about Shawn from Everything EV. I think that was the name of the website. If I don't, I'll just put it right here. But the reason why I wanted to make this video is Doug DeMuro did a couple, I think it was a couple of days after the announcement event for the Cybertruck. Everybody kept asking him what he thought about the Cybertruck, and he made a video explaining the reason why the Cybertruck wasn't a good value compared to the traditional gasoline trucks that are out. And Shawn came out and made a video kind of making his own points why Doug DeMuro is wrong. And I also kind of wanted to make a video reasons why Doug DeMuro is right about the Cybertruck, and also reasons why Shawn is wrong about Doug DeMuro and the things that he said. And I just wanted to put my own opinion into that conversation. So let's watch the first couple.
What's going on, everyone? It's Shawn from All Things EV. What's going on, everyone? It's Shawn from All Things EV, and this is why I disagree with Doug DeMuro's opinion about the Tesla Cybertruck. So first off, I want to say that I'm a big fan of Doug's channel, or channels. I guess he's got a couple of them now. He does great work in the automotive space, talking about cars, doing reviews of cars, and covering all the quirks and features of the cars. He is really great, and he actually said in this video that I want to touch on that he's a fan of Tesla, but he made a really big mistake when talking about the Cybertruck, and I want to cover that. I've also been thinking that I need to do a comparison between the Cybertruck and some more traditional gasoline trucks anyways. So I'm going to kill two birds with one stone here and offer a counter position to what Doug DeMuro thinks about the Cybertruck. So let's go ahead and jump in.
I think the styling is absolutely awful, but for me, this truck is an early flop for more than just that. The value proposition against other trucks isn't there.
The first thing that I'll give to Doug is that I don't disagree that the design of the Cybertruck is just odd, and it's strange, and it's very different. I will say, though, that I think that over time, this truck will end up being an iconic design, and people will look back and think, oh, remember that time when we saw that pickup truck, that Tesla pickup truck that they drove up on stage and we thought it was ridiculously ugly? Oh, yeah, I remember that. Now we think it's beautiful. I suspect that...
Okay, we just saw one of the things that he just said. He just said that right now, obviously, a lot of people think that the Cybertruck isn't a very good looking truck, and I'm part of that group. I think it's a cool truck, but at the same time, subjectively, it's a bad looking truck. It's not good looking at any sense of the word, any sense of the imagination. And then two, he's saying that later on people are gonna look back at the Cybertruck and think it's a beautiful truck, which I think it's pretty freaking funny, considering the fact that there's already a vehicle that already looks like the Tesla Cybertruck, and it's the vehicle, the hero car from Back to the Future, the DeLorean. That's literally the closest thing that looks like the DeLorean right now. And a lot of people think that the DeLorean looks cool, but a lot of those people that think the DeLorean looks cool also think that the DeLorean is kind of ugly. It's not that good looking, and let's be honest, that's one of the reasons why that vehicle didn't succeed as good as the company wanted to. I don't understand how he thinks that people later on are gonna look back at the Cybertruck and think that's a beautiful design. So let's continue.
This is going to be one of those things where it just took a little while to get used to because it was so different and it was so stark in comparison to what we are all used to today with a traditional looking pickup truck. That being said, one of Doug's biggest complaints was the price differentiation between gasoline trucks and this Cybertruck.
But listen to this, a base model Chevy Silverado tows 9,800 pounds, basically the same, and it starts at only $30,000. 20 grand less than that mid-level Cybertruck. Now, obviously, the base model Silverado has practically nothing. No luxuries, cloth seats, pretty crappy, single cab. It is a very basic truck.
But he made a really, really big mistake in that he started comparing the Cybertruck, which has a double cab and a 6.5-foot bed length, with trucks that have a smaller bed length and only a single cab and that start at $30,000. So if we're really going to compare apples to apples here, we have to do away with the traditional gasoline variants that only have a single cab and a shorter bed. So let's go ahead and do an apples-to-apples comparison with the Cybertruck, the Ford F-150, the Chevy Silverado 1500, and the Ram 1500. The price range for the Cybertruck is $39,900 to $69,900, and though we don't know the actual battery size, I'm going to take some wild guesses here based on the range and based on the size of the vehicle, that it's going to come in at 100 to 250 kilowatt hour battery pack sizes. Refueling costs, if we base it on the national average for electricity, which is 11 cents per kilowatt hour, it's going to run somewhere between $11 and $27.50 to charge or refuel the Cybertruck. The range on that's 250 to 500, payload 3,500, towing capacity 7,500 to 14,000. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. For the Ford F-150, we've got a very similar price point when we compare the double cab and the 6.5-foot to the Cybertruck. All right, so it's $36,340 to $55,570. The fuel tank is 23 to 36 gallons, and the refueling cost is $59, basically $60 to just over $93 to refuel a single tank on the F-150. The range on that, if we base it on the city driving, is 506 miles to 792, depending on the tank size. The payload for that is 1,700 to 2,640, and the towing capacity is 5,000 to 13,000. And for the Silverado 1500, we're looking at just over 36,000 and just under $61,000 for that price range. It's got a 24 to 28 gallon tank, and the cost to refuel is $62 and some change to $72 and some change, and that's going to get you about 552 miles to 644. Payload is 2,250 and the towing capacity 9,400. And lastly, for the Ram 1500, it's going to run a little over $32,000 to just under $48,000. The fuel tank is 23 to 26 gallons and it's going to cost just under $60 to just over $67 to refuel that each time. And you're going to be able to go 460 to 520 miles. Payload is 1,710 to 2,100, and the towing capacity is 7,410 to 12,750. So we can see that when we compare an apples to apples in terms of size of the cabin as well as the bed, that the Cybertruck is actually right on par with their competition in the gasoline space.
Okay, we just saw him breaking down the costs and the ranges and how much you're able to haul with the Cybertruck compared to a light-duty truck. It seems like if we're just looking at numbers, straight up numbers, price to performance ratios, not considering 0 to 60. One of the arguments that Doug DeMuro made is just, if we're just looking at straight numbers, hauling numbers, range numbers, there is no denying that gasoline vehicles or trucks or heavy-duty trucks or light-duty trucks, obviously, there's going to be a higher cost to running those trucks at longer distances. But one of the things that he forgot to consider is that whenever you're hauling anything, let's be honest, your range is going to diminish dramatically. And there are a lot of people that haul a lot of things with their Model X. And a lot of those people see 1/3 of their range diminish just because they're hauling either at a pretty flat plane or uphill, even worse, uphill. Your range is going to be diminished a lot more. And this is one thing that even now Tesla vehicles aren't their software isn't able to, I guess, consider how far you're going and consider how little range and how much you're affected by hauling. And the other thing that I wanted to say is a lot of, just here in Mississippi where I live, if you go on their website to look up for superchargers, not destination chargers, because there's a pretty good amount of destination chargers in Mississippi. And another thing that you have to consider is fueling time compared to the Cybertruck. Even if you're considering to go supercharge, the time from hauling and the diminished range that you get from hauling things, it's going to be a lot less on a traditional gasoline vehicle. Do gasoline vehicles are affected by that as well? Yes, they are. I'm not going to deny that. Another thing is ease of use. Ease of use, that's another thing that he forgot to consider. Let's be honest, it's a lot easier, and then it takes a lot less time to fuel up your truck if you're hauling it. It might take you, let's say, an average of 15 minutes or even less, 10 minutes to fill up your truck from almost zero to full. Even now with the Model 3, with their faster supercharging, that they're able to charge their vehicles a lot faster now. It still takes an average of 40 to 30 minutes. That's a lot of time, especially if you're hauling from one place to another from a large distance. Those 30 minutes or 40 minutes add up really, really fast. And that's also, I like there's a YouTuber that I like watching. His YouTube channel name is What's Inside. He's a huge Tesla fan. One of the things that he came across while owning a Tesla, he's not even hauling anything. But even, I think he lives in Salt Lake City, Utah. Even there, he has no problems charging his vehicles. Obviously, it's a bigger city. It's a lot bigger than Mississippi. But whenever he goes on a road trip, he came across a problem of, one, a lot of time was wasted at charging and stopping at every charging station. And then two, he started getting range anxiety because a lot of these places that he was going to didn't have that many supercharging stations in between stops. So at times he will have only 20 to 30 more miles. And that's something that for him, and going out with his family and going to places, he didn't want to worry about. So what did he do? He decided to buy a traditional gasoline vehicle just for road trips, just so he wouldn't have to deal with the time and the anxiety that comes from charging an electric vehicle. And then two, one of the other things that Doug DeMuro said is if we're just looking at straight numbers, the vehicle can go from charging to fueling up and also from hauling things. He said it would be better to compare the Cybertruck, comparing it to a heavy duty to a super duty, especially if you're just going to be doing hauling. Right now, as it stands, even if you buy right now, I think heavy duty trucks start around 40 for a base model super duty if you're just going to use it for hauling. Let's say somebody wants to buy a Cybertruck for hauling, and you buy the most expensive Cybertruck, which their starting price, it's at 70 grand, which you could buy a super duty or a heavy duty truck around 40 to 50 grand. Are you going to be able to haul the same or even more? Yes, you are. Is there going to be a better rate of diminishing return from fueling to going to that place that you're going to be hauling from? Yes, traditional gasoline vehicles are a lot better. That's the reason why Doug DeMuro said that price of performance, or if your use case scenario is hauling, the Cybertruck isn't for you for the long run. And another thing he forgot to mention is 39,000 that the Cybertruck starts. That's the base model Cybertruck. No options, no nothing, no autopilot. Even if you go onto Tesla's website and then you option these things into the Tesla, if you're interested in just the autopilot feature, nowadays, even if you option out right now, you could, I've done this. As soon as the Tesla event came out, I immediately went onto Chevy's website and on Ford's website, optioned out a F-150 with a crew cab and a 6-foot bed with active cruise control and lane keep assist. A lot of these trucks actually can do similar things that the Cybertruck can do with the autopilot. Can it keep you in the lane? Yes. Can it adjust its speed between you and the vehicle in front of you? It can. And let's finish hearing what Shawn has to say about that.
One of the things that Doug failed to mention that I think makes a huge difference in the total cost of ownership is how much less expensive it is to recharge a battery on the Cybertruck versus refuel the gasoline engines on these pickup trucks. So when you factor all the costs in, not just purchase price, but also cost to refuel or recharge, the Cybertruck comes in significantly lower. And of course, the longer that you own that vehicle, the less expensive it's going to be. So Doug, if you're watching this video, I would encourage you not just to focus on the purchase price of the vehicle, but also compare apples to apples in terms of cabin size as well as bed size. And then probably most importantly, the cost to power and refuel a Cybertruck is going to be significantly less than it will be for a gasoline vehicle. And that's just charging it from the grid. And if you're slapping solar panels on your house, you not only have the good conscience that you're not polluting the air with gasoline and toxic fumes, but you're also reducing that total cost of ownership of the Cybertruck. Shawn Mitchell, All Things EV, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch everyone on the next video.
Okay, the last point that Shawn made was during the lifetime of the vehicle, you're gonna spend a lot less money owning a Cybertruck. Of course, I mean, you kind of are, to be honest. The cost from fueling a traditional gasoline vehicle is always going to be a lot higher, even now that gas prices are going down. And one of the points he made saying that if you even slap in solar panels to your house, it's going to be even better for you in the long term. Can't deny that at all. But one of the things that he forgot to take in account is if you want to be, let's just assume that Shawn lives in Denver, Colorado. There's actually a really good amount of supercharging stations, which is a lot better than it is here. That's one of the things that he forgot to take into account, that most people that own trucks live in areas that don't have that many supercharging stations. So there's going to be less of a ease of convenience for a electric truck. Even though I'm a big fan of Tesla and the Cybertruck, to be honest, I like it, but at the same time, I don't, because of the looks, and then two, where I live. It's not all that practical. Yes, trucks are practical, but the way that the Tesla truck fuels itself, it's impractical. Even now, every time I go out, I'm driving to work or just going out, and I see a Model S or a Model 3, I'm like, oh, cool. I get excited to see one of them. But at the same time, those vehicles are a lot better to say their competitors. They're a lot cheaper for what they're offering than their competitors. And that's the whole point of Doug DeMuro's video. The Cybertruck doesn't do a very good case for itself to do a price to performance or ease of convenience for the person buying said vehicle. If you're just going to be a city dweller or somebody that lives in a city that has a good amount of supercharging stations, will the Cybertruck be good for you? Of course it will. But if you live in a rural area like I do, even though technically I live in the coast where there's the majority of the cities here are pretty big compared to the rest of Mississippi, there's still a lack of supercharging stations. So right now there's a lot of people, even people that buy trucks here, just from going out, like I would say 1/4 of all the vehicles, or even 1/3 at times. If you go out at certain times, you're gonna see a majority of the vehicles out where I live are gonna be trucks. And a lot of people, and the first thing that you notice, a lot of the people here like to modify their trucks, and there's not a very good aftermarket, a lot of aftermarket parts for Tesla vehicles. Even their cars right now, there's still a very small aftermarket parts or anything that you could get for these vehicles. And a lot of people, they just like their truck because they could put their family in it, they could haul things. It's very convenient, it's practical, and because it goes pop, 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 pop. And because they could get a turbo diesel and then put freaking giant smokestacks and then freaking tune their freaking trucks, even though I freaking hate it. I 100% hate it when people do that, especially because at times, sometimes I forget to close my vents. I just gotten used to every time I get into my car, close the vents. Close the vents. Every time I see a truck, close the vents. Because you never know if you're driving behind somebody that's driving a truck that has a diesel and they tune their truck to roll coal, and I hate it because there's times where I forget to close my vents. And then all those fumes just come into my car. And that was one of the things that he said. It's going to be a lot better for the environment in the long term if people own EVs. I'm not going to deny that. But right now, for trucks, there really isn't that good of a value for Tesla to make this truck. I presume that there's going to be a very, very high demand the first year that the truck starts actually coming into production and being sold. And then all that hype is just going to tank. It's going to tank. People are going to come out, say that don't buy this if you live in these areas, or if you're just using it for hauling. A lot of people, I'm 90% sure that a lot of people that are going to be using these trucks for that are going to just warn everybody, if you value your time, don't buy that. Just don't buy it. Alright, that was everything that I wanted to say. Stay tuned for any other videos that I might come out with. Next video is going to be a bit different than this one. It's not going to be, I don't think that it's going to be car related or anything of that sort, but it will probably be tech related. So I'll see you guys next time.